Hey, you there. Thank you for watching, and welcome to Forge Lines Forever. Today, I have a 4v4 ladder match here on the map Funeral Plains. So let's go ahead and introduce our teams and our players, starting with Team 1 or Red Team up here in the northeast corner, and ending with Team 2 or Blue Team in the southwest corner. Starting off with the color orange player of Hannibal, going first land as a Cybern. And again, he's in orange, the color orange. To his south, we have Agony going first land as a UEF in ruby red. And to his other southeast, we have, I can never say his name right, Ixlander, I think is how you say it, going first land as a Cybern in Chevy Crimson. And last but not least, there for Team 1, it is Sailor Moon going first land in Pac-Man as a UEF. So for Team 1 side of things, we have 2 Cyberns and 2 UEF, no Aeons, no Seraphim Tech for Team Red. Down here in the southwest, starting off with the Amethyst purple player of Thurnis Haley going first land as a Seraphim. To his north, we have Farine maybe, going first land in Stitch Blue as a Cybern. And on the move, we have the little guy, not very little in comparison with an engineer or any other T1 unit. We have, again, the little guy going first land in in Royal Blue. And last but not least, there for Team 2 or Blue Team, we have Kenny Lee 090 going first land in Tropical Ocean Blue as an Aeon. So for Team Blue side of things, we have all of the races represented here. For their teams will have access to everything that they want to. But will it be an advantage? Will it not be an advantage? We'll have to see as time goes on. For the reclaim currently on the map, we have 29,000, probably about 30,000 reclaim on this map. A lot of it, at least a decent amount of it, in this little crater here in the middle with 2 mexes. A lot of mass here just surrounding that area. We also have civilian structures to the northwest and the southeast. They do have radar, but that's really about it. There's a couple of T2 PD, but not really a whole lot of an issue. And a little design here in that corner. Let's go ahead and see if there's any nice and juicy plays, early aggressive plays here from either teams. We're having a group of Mech Marines escorted by a Snoop going to get a nice little view on the other side of the map. Same thing happening from Agony, so these units most likely will collide, just due to the fact that they have a decent range of vision and radar. Here they come into range. They'll see the radar signatures right there. There they are. They are identified as a Snoop versus a Snoop and 2 Mech Marines. So very even here in the middle for both teams. Who is going to pull it out? But it does look like they are diverted northward. I'm going to go after this engineer and this Mechs. Agony already on the move to help assist with that defense on the center lane. We're having scouting parties here to the northwest and actually nothing in the southeast. This side of the map pretty much ignored by both teams. We are seeing Sailor Moon starting to come in that direction, but not really a lot of aggressive plays. That's probably due to the fact that there is a civilian base here with a couple of PD, so it's not really worth it to go there very early. We are having a couple of flares kind of get into the backline, or at least the frontline production facilities here for Red Team. Hannibal going to come in and take care of this flare. This facility going to come online. That flare almost takes out a T1 Mechs by itself, but doesn't really get anywhere. Maybe this flare will get some more work done. It is going to be able to fight off these 2 engineers. Maybe even a third if it does see it. But in the middle, we have the little guy already around the central crater here, and it's probably going to set up shop at least on this northeastern side, just trying to deny some ego against his teammates. But we are having the comm of Salter on his way. The little guy is going to have the hit point advantage by 2,000. So again, Team 1's player of Salter has to be aware of that. We are having a couple of Mantis build up here for him as well, which will help stave off the enemy threat here. But plasma being thrown at one another in the middle of the map. We're having a T1 bomber kind of just coast on this eastern side, waiting for a lonely engineer to just poke its head out. But the comm of Sailor Moon going to establish themselves on this kind of, I was going to say it's like a plateau, but it's very It looks like it is a plateau, but it's not really a plateau. It just looks like one. It's just very hilly with all that sand. But the comm of Sailor Moon is targeted by that bomber. And the little guy is starting to be outnumbered quite heavily. Salter going for that reclaim in the middle here. I'm surprised to not see a transport early out to grab the bottom of that, but of course it is going to be a 3v1 scenario with comms. The little guy needs to get out of there, or he's going to be outnumbered fairly quickly. Looks like he's trying to grab the bigger rocks and then say, just see you later. I was going to say hasta la vista, but that's not what I was getting at. Anyway, to the northwest, we are having a transport here from Hannibalo, dropping up here the northeast, probably going to build some arty and then go after this Cerberus turret. They probably could actually set up, it might be a hard angle, but they might be able to set up shop on the top of that plateau there. It'll be close. It'll depend on how far back those RD do sit to take out that Cerberus turret. But we are seeing interceptors take out enemy interceptors here for both teams. Team 2 kind of residing in a little bit of the air superiority, at least from the perspective of Thurnis Haley, who is the highest rated player in the game at almost a 1900. The lowest rated player of Fern is in Stitch Blue as a Cybran. Again, it is the outliers here for Team 2 and the average for Team 1. We can even take a look at the average. The average for Team 1 is 1283. Team 2's average is 1324. Team 2, I mean, we have essentially 2 players right pretty close to that average, so kind of, you know, team average, I guess, is the name of the game here for Red Team. We do have a couple of gun range or speed upgrades here for both teams. A lot of aggressive plays coming out from these comms. And again, that is always a double-edged sword. The more you push forward, the longer it's going to take you to come back, which opens up the door for either team to have some sort of bomber rush or land rush or whatever the case may be. But Team 1's going to push their advantage here in the middle. And it does look like Agony's going to scoop up some more reclaim and try to funnel that into his eco. T2 land has been achieved here for Salter as well. No one has really gone air as of yet, not even T2 at the latest, or the most. It does really look like, well, it does look like Thurnis is going to go in that air roll. He has almost completed T2 at 7.5 minutes. That's going to give him a decent advantage in the air for now until Team 1 can catch up. But we are seeing some front lines start to form. Does look like Team 1 wants to grab the middle pretty much right about here. They want to control that center crater, which, I mean, in terms of mass points, there's only 2 right here, so it's not the end of the world. A lot of the mexes are kind of just spread out. There's lots of 2s, there's a couple of 3s, but there's really not like this is the point we need to hold with all the mexes kind of thing. Yeah, this map is more about how much map control can you have is essentially what it comes down to, which, I mean, a lot of maps come down to that, but in the sense that since all the mexes are spread out, map control is very important, because if you own more than half the map, you then own essentially more than half the mexes, which some maps don't really work out that way, just due to mass point distribution and all that. But Hannibalo going after the little guy, but he walked right into that force here from the little guy, and Hannibalo is surrounded. He is a Cybran commander. He does not have a lot of hit points, and it does look like he's going to turn around. Not a good move with Fern on that with that upgrade. Hannibalo is surrounded. All the units from Team 2 move in, and Hannibalo is going to be the first victim of the game at 8 minutes and 50 seconds. Kaboom. Oh, I feel like that could have been a misclick or something. Maybe he underestimated the amount of forces that Team 2 had, but that was a very risky play. I don't know. I don't know what that was about, unfortunately. Could not tell you what he was thinking, but that upgrade does finish for the little guy. Advance range going down for Kenny. So again, all of the comms for Team 2 essentially are being very aggressive, except for Thurnis. He's being a little bit further behind, but again, he's holding the eastern side at bay. He doesn't have to push as much. We are having some comms split up here in the middle. The comm of Agony going to the west. The comm of Salter kind of falling back a little bit, just due to the fact that one of their teammates has been eliminated. Does look like Sailor Moon inherited it initially, and then Agony was gifted over that base. So Agony sits on 2 bases Eco is about the same between both teams. Team 1 leading by just a little bit, but not by that much. Nothing to really worry about here this early at 10 minutes in the game. T2 is going to stay the main game here for Thurn. He's going to build some not the fighter bombers and then probably switch over to T3. I would imagine Team 1's play probably would just be go straight T3. They're going to get some engineers out for those Pigeons and then go for T3. So Team 1 still behind on the ball a little bit. But again, it is too early to just say Team 2 automatically loses kind of thing. So we'll have to see as that goes on. I was checking to see if the T2 Pigeon was built for Thurnis, and it was. Team 2 capitalizing on that victory in the middle is going to start putting pressure on these units in the middle. Agony, again, shifting his focus to the west. We are seeing that base here in the northwest corner claimed by Team 1. No reclaim. And there's even a PD still online, but there's no emphasis to reclaim all of those structures. Same over here. It does look like the engineer will take out... Why isn't that Cerberus turret firing? That's kind of weird. Wonder what's up with that. It should be hostile, so I don't know why it's not firing. Interesting. Anyway. Shield on the way here for Kenny. He has the Aeon Sniper Common now going for a full shield. Probably go for the heavy shield later, but at least getting the early shield online. Does look like a group of forces here for Team 2. Commanded by Fern, and Thurn is going to start pushing against Sailor Moon on this northwest side. Northeast side. Wow, directions. They're hard. Lots of Zooey, a decent amount of Thams, of course. Got to have that mixed in when you are T1. You want that artillery, and you also want that main tanks. You just got to have both. And just Seraphim have hovers, so hover kind of OP. We are having some flak installations being built here by Sailor Moon. He's noticing that his not the fighter bombers from Thurnis are taking out this missile installation. A Mechs and 3 missile launchers get taken out. That's a lot of mass that we devoted to that project, and it didn't really get any results. Maybe a Mechs or 2 was killed. No, I don't think really any of the Mechs were killed. This one wasn't even claimed. So that has got to hurt Team 1's player of Sailor Moon. The T1 spam coming in, Fern leading the charge here in the eastern side of the map. We turn off all the little icons so we get a nice little view of that comm kind of starting to crest the hill. Comms have not started firing on one another as of yet. They're focused more on the ads. But that's a lot of artillery coming in here from Team 2. Thurnis adding a nice, I'd say not necessarily distraction, but they're bolstering the forces for Firen. Firen? We call him Ren. Or Firen. One of the two. Again, some of the names easy to pronounce, some of them are not. Does look like Sailor Moon is now the main target. This could be another early ejection here for Team 1. The comm of Sailor Moon is not retreating. He's in the green still, but it is going to fall fairly quickly. All of the firepower is focused. Thurn is even coming to assist as well. Again, it is a 2v1 scenario. Sailor Moon needs to retreat. There is one PD online. That is it. That's not going to be enough to hold off this force. Fern pushing that advantage more and more and more. Sailor Moon below 50% hit points. It is not looking good. Even on the northwest side of the map, we have Kenny pushing that side of the map, and we have a force over here in the middle tackling Salter's main infrastructure. A lot of mechs is being taken out. Red team is struggling here. If they lose another comm, it's going to really hurt. He needs to hold here. And Thurnis and Fern decide not to push, which he had the... I mean, just the firepower on the comms alone should have been enough, but now they've given enough time for Sailor Moon to get some defenses up and running. I feel like that is definitely a missed opportunity for Team 2, but they are thinking about giving Eco over to one player, essentially, and that's never a good idea to just say, oh, all the Eco for the entire game goes to one person. That's not a good idea. But Team 1 not focusing on T3 air. Is Team 2 finished with that? No, they're not. So both teams not focusing on air. Usually we see that at about 13 minutes, usually 14 minutes at the latest. At least one, if not both of the teams have T3 air. But both teams focusing on more aggressive plays in terms of taking out Eco. They are determined to reduce Salter's eco here at his main base. They took out some of those mass storages, but that's about it. Interceptors trying to target those not the fighter bombers, taking them out. And we have some gunships appearing here for the player of Sailor Moon. They are Stingers. They're not bad. They're not the best in my opinion, but they're not bad gunships. But the forces here for Team 2 are not going to push probably until they get an experimental would be my guess. And we're at least 5 minutes from an experimental at this rate. This game is looking to be a little bit slower in terms of eco ramping. Kenny Lee is so far forward, actually on the northern edge of the map, going after Agony's secondary base, which was one. Well, wait, I think this was Hannibal Lowe's. So this was, I don't know, one of his bases. But Kenny is starting to be surrounded. He has the Aeon Sniper Commander, and he's pushing forward. Not really needed, but now shield is depleted. T2 pillars with Agony in tow with that gun upgrade. Eventually, if Agony doesn't keep following, Kenny will have the advantage in the range game. And he does stave off the attack from the comm, and that is a long walk back. But look at this, Team 2 exerting a whole amount of pressure here on Team 1, controlling at least 50%, if not close to 60 to 70% of the map just by themselves. Team 1, they need to, beef up defenses. We have more and more triads and defenses being, just pushed everywhere. We have this firebase in the middle for Salter. The shield's not going to hold that long. But up against T1 units here for Team 2, not really gonna work. You can see the Cerberus turrets do a decent amount of work, and there's more and more turrets back and back. Layered defenses, I talk about that a decent amount on this channel. And the forces here for Team 2's player, let's see, is that, that's little guy, and then Fjern, and I'm not gonna be able to say his name right. There's just so many that it just does not matter. Team 2 is gonna roll over Salter's main forward operating base. The turrets trying to take out anything and everything they can. The forces are being slowly depleted, but again, the forces from Fjern come in to assist, and that will push Salter off. We even have the comm of Little Guy coming to assist his forces. Actually, his forces don't even exist anymore, realistically. It's just Fjern's forces, so we'll have to see if he's just going to go for it or hold off. There's still more PD back here, so again, layered defenses, trying to just keep Team 2 from taking the eastern side of the middle. The western side is just gone. There's nothing here. But Thurnus Haley gets defeated by Sailor Moon. Looks like there was some gunships that came after him. Oh, man, that has gotta hurt. He had no defenses in the air, it looks like. That does drop this game back to a 3v3. It is all tied up, and Team 2 has lost their highest rated player by a decent margin. They have a 1453, which is higher than anybody else on Team 1. But, man, it's not... That was a great grab by Team 1. Apologies for missing it, but it does look like gunships were built up. Maybe there were even some missiles. Let's see. No. It does look like it. Yeah, well... I was going after the mechs. Okay, I was like... You did not get a kill on a comm just because he was standing next to a mechs. But the little guy pushes forward against Salter in the middle. A couple of the Cerberus turrets, but the main force here, essentially the distraction of that comm, is coming after these forces here for Sailor Moon. But there's a lot of T1 PD surrounded by walls. And they fire pretty quickly. It's going to be hard pressed for these Mantis to really do any lasting damage. T2 on that front line here for Sailor Moon, trying to pump out units as fast as he can. T3 still not even on the cards here for Team 1, and Team 2 still not even focusing on air. We have T3 land for both teams before we even have T3 air, which is, again, the weirdest thing I've seen. Not the weirdest, but one of the weirdest things I've seen in a minute. Usually it's the other way around. You want that early air advantage, and the way you get that is with ASF. The gunships roaming the map here for Team 1's player of Sailor Moon. Trying to see if any of them were alive. No. Doesn't look like any of them are alive to kill the comm. They probably died in the explosion. But missiles raining in on the mechs here against Team 2. Team 2 actually in the lead by a far margin at 289, almost 300 mass versus essentially 200 mass. That is a 3-2 advantage here for Team 2. Why are they not pummeling that into T3 air? I have no idea, but some not the fighter bombers going after mechs is once again. There goes that T2 mechs. Those Nothos will be dealt with. Now we see T3 bricks just skipping the loyalists here. Salter is doing, just wanting to pump out the, in my opinion, far superior brick over the loyalists. Loyalists are quicker. Same thing with the Titans. They're quicker. Just the damage, the hit points. You can't beat the brick. Once the bricks are in range, good luck. We're having a Cybran v Cybran base war here in the middle, but we are having the shield built for Furin. That will give him a lot of hit points to just stave off this incoming threat of Cerberus. And we're going to have some PD creeps here with no turret here that only really goes one way. That's not really looking good for that turret. That shield is going to fall here pretty soon, but 3 of those turrets do open up versus 1. And that Cerberus turret will be taken out. Now we just have a little bit of a no man's land in the eastern side of the map, and another push against Team 1 for Kenny Lee. He wants to be super aggressive in limiting Team 1's access to this corner. And again, there's not really a whole lot of mass points. It's really just area. It's not really worth it. There's not a whole lot of mass in that corner either in terms of reclaim. So really it's just about map control. We are at 23,000, so again, the amount of eco's gone down in terms of reclaim a little bit, but, you know, dead structures and units and all of that does tend to replenish the reclaim on the field. But we have a pillar arguing with a couple of those mantis, but they're, actually, they're not even mantis. They are ISLs. I think it's ISL. I think that's how you say that. But they are AA units, and they look like mantis because they have the same kind of design, but they are AA units. And the pillars are just sitting out of range. They can't hit those because of the hills, so that's kind of a missed opportunity here for Team 1. But it does look like maybe those pillars will start to get a nice angle on them. There they go. We'll start taking some of those out. Team 2 heavily focusing on this northwestern side. They want to secure essentially the vertical west of the map. You take the middle, draw a line up and down, and just take the western half for them. There's really no move to go T3. Oh, I say that. T3 is now on the cards here for Kenny Lee. It's about halfway done. He's building more and more Harbingers as we speak. The very effective assault pot for the Aeon with the additional shield makes it very deadly. Team 1 does have T3 air first, which is ironic because Team 2 had air, or T2, before Team 1 did, and Team 2 had a huge leg up. And they just didn't capitalize on it. So now we're seeing essentially it's just not the fighter bombers. They're quickly taken out by all of the flak here for Team 1. We're having a push here to this northwest. A decent sized armor. We have some sniper bots, Harbingers, T1 spam, shields. And this T2 force is not going to be able to measure up, and that will force Agony to fall back. There are some triads here. Team 2 needs to be aware of that and not come in range. I mean, triads aren't as bad as Ravagers, but again, free damage is free damage. Large air scout plan here by Team 2 to just get everything underneath their belts. They want to know where everything is, because of course the more you know, the more you can prepare for. We are having a counter push here to the southeast by Team 1 from Salter and Sailor Moon. Sailor Moon providing the T1 spam and the T2 units versus Salter providing the T2 air, AA, and some bricks. That force got very close. Are they going to keep moving eastward? Agony actually moving in to intercept. I don't know if that's the smartest idea. He wants to get some veterancy on the commander. Don't blame him in that aspect. But there are some Titans to help assist in taking out T1 spam. They aren't very effective against these Harbingers, but at least they can do something. And we're seeing more and more forces just pile into this eastern side. This production facility is gone. It is not being recovered. Bricks coming in to assist. And now it's going to be Bricks versus Harbingers, not Percy's. Percy's would probably actually be better here for Team 2. They deal a lot more damage. They could focus the fire on the comm a lot better. But alas, that is not what they have access to currently. And those Harbingers are going to be dealt with. A nice sizable group of reclaim for Team 1 to scoop up. And bringing more shields to the front, not necessarily going to help. Another force being built up in the west. But again, you send them piecemeal in one by one. It's not really going to do anything. Obsidian tanks, very annoying for T2 units to deal with. But for comm and a couple of T3, not really a problem. And we are seeing a lot of the comms for Team 1, or at least a lot of the players, I should say, in general. They're not necessarily giving units over, but they're saying, hey, here's some units. I'm going to send them to you. I'm going to help out. It would be better for the micro to just gift them over to your teammate. But I do understand, like, wanting to feel like I created these units. I want to use them kind of thing. And I do get that, but it's more effective to just give it to the player who's really leading the charge, whether that be Sailor Moon in this case, or Agony up to the north, whatever the case may be. Calm of the little guy coming in to defend. We've seen him travel a lot of the map here in the middle, just trying to help out where he can, plug any holes. It is a 3x3. It is a 3v3 currently at 24 minutes, essentially 25 minutes. Let me know how you like the cast so far down below in the comments, and if you've been liking it so far, please give it that thumbs up. And of course, if you haven't hit that sub button, I would greatly appreciate your sub today. We're not seeing any big moves in terms of experimentals currently. We are at 25 minutes. We should see at least one planned by somebody at this point. And that's an Omni station. That is not what I thought that would be. It does look like this game is going to be a little bit slower to get off the ground, it looks like, just due to ecos. I mean, we are at 400 for Team 2 and 325 for Team 1, so not terribly, but usually we see somebody trying to build one at 25 minutes. Just reminded of that early Scathis video of, like, somebody created or built the Scathis in like 32 minutes. Like, it was very early. It was a great play, but it was just like, wow, that is really early. You don't really see that till like the 45-minute mark. And now it's just quiet here on the Eastern Front. A lot of the forces retreating to resupply and reheal, or take long rests in this case. Let me know if anybody's playing Baldur's Gate. I'm currently making the video, the first, I wouldn't say playthrough. It's more of like a, what would I call it? It's like a shorter version. I take like a full playthrough and then just like cut it down to like all the important bits. So, an hour, 2 hours of gameplay in like 10, 15 minutes. So you don't have to, this game, I love this game because you sit, you watch the build orders, you watch the combat, like you want to see all of it. And some games you're like, I just want to see the important bits, and not you sit there and manage your inventory for 10 minutes trying to find an item that you somehow replaced, but it's just staring in front of you kind of thing. Like, I get some people like to see that, but I feel like most people would rather see, like, this is the important bits, this is the story, this is the main combat, that kind of thing. So that probably will release Monday, I would say. Monday of next week, probably at the earliest, just because I'm enjoying playing Baldur's Gate as well. It's kind of hard because I want to play the game, but I also want to edit, but I also want to play the game, but I also want to edit. It's hard. Baldur's Gate's really fun. Would not recommend it. I could not recommend it more. We are seeing these missiles here in the middle from these Vipers take out this T2 Extractor. There's not a lot of assistance from these TMD, and now we're seeing some Titans come in and probe that front line. Bricks staying underneath shield coverage. Very good move, but those Percies I mentioned earlier now coming into effect. They do lots and lots of damage. The Bricks have to retreat. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about that. And now they're going to just push forward. There's not a lot of PD and not a lot of defenses here for Sailor Moon, and he knows it, and he will have to retreat. His missiles killed a decent amount of mass, about 7.5, but not a whole lot. We are seeing a lot of shields and a lot of pillars coming to assist. Those Percies are going to start being beaten back, unfortunately, here for Team 2's player of the little guy. We had some forces from Furin as well, but they were a little too late on the uptick, a lot on the intel message, and so now they're not going to be able to engage quite nicely. But we are having a Brick stave off those missiles. That looks like they were targeting, I don't know, I didn't see what the wreckage was, or at least recognize it in time. Looks, oh, maybe Ravagers is what they were building. So Team 1's player of Sailor Moon trying to build up some Ravagers to halt enemy incursion from the northwest section of this little really weird plateau, not plateau looking thing. It looks like a plateau from far away. It's not a plateau from closer. It's just kind of weird because of the coloring of the environment and whatnot. Again, no experimentals as of yet. Oh, no, there's one. There's the Colossus from Kenny Lee at 285 mass. That definitely makes sense. And again, Team 2 has access to all of the faction technologies. Team 1 only having access to UEF and Cybrin. So that really limits Team 1's options. They have either monkeys or they have fat boys. I mean, yeah, Team 1 also has crabs, but I mean, crabs are nice. They just obviously cost more. I'm talking about more cheaper experimentals. But, you know, forget what I said. Salter's going to build a crab anyway, so it doesn't even matter what I said. He's just going to skip the monkey phase, go straight to the crab phase. He wants probably the additional range that you get with the crab, and of course the hit points. The Megalith has more hit points than the Colossus does, but the Colossus can do more damage quicker if it is close by. So again, it's always a risk and reward kind of a, I forget what the term is, but it's like where, you know, sword beats shield, shield beats spear, spear beats sword. Something like that triangle of damage, or kind of like, you know, grass beats water, water beats fire, fire beats water, or no, fire beats grass in Pokemon. They're kind of like, you know, advantage, disadvantage kind of thing. I know there's a term for it. I cannot think of it off the top of my head. I do apologize. And that Colossus is finishing. I mean, he's already in the green, so it's going to take him a decent while to walk, but it is a 10x10, not a 20x20, so it'll take him half the amount of, half the amount of time? Less than half the time. What's it? 10 squared plus 10 squared is 200, so the square root of 200 is the length from this southwest corner to this northeast corner. And then when you double it, it's 400 plus 400, square root of 800. Versus, so it's like it's like a fourth of the length. I can't do math in my head right now. I would need to write it down. But anyway, it doesn't take as long to walk for an entire 20x20 as it does a 10x10, at least diagonally. That Colossus is probably going to push over here with this group of forces mounting. Team 2 is better off to probably just pull them back to this plateau area, and while they wait for their galactic brethren to come and assist, because this is a sizable brick force, will probably overrun all of these harbingers, honestly. We're even seeing some Percy's come in, so that might be the call for... it's just... It's not a great engage, honestly. You're forcing units off the northwest, which you need for Agony's forces. You have these Percy's that could deal with these bricks with the assistance of these harbingers, but it's just Team 2's kind of in a pickle of, do they attack, do they not attack? And Team 1's like, come on, attack us, come on. You won't. That crab is going to finish, and that's going to be thrown westward immediately. That's where these bricks are headed. These Percy's could have had a chance to chase these bricks, but they decided not to. Definitely a missed opportunity here for Team 2, and of course hindsight is 20/20, and this game is more like 40/20. You can pause, you can see everybody's vision, all of that. T1 bombers going after bricks, not really that effective, honestly. Probably would prefer Nothas at that point, but they are cheaper. That's probably why they go with it. We have a Colossus almost finisher and a Fat Boy that has just been started by Team 2, so that'll be a nice grab, trying to just take out enemy defensive positions here. The column of Sailor Moon would need to retreat, but he's building a Fat Boy as well, and actually about at the same rate, I feel like. His is probably a little bit ahead. Oh, it is a little bit ahead, and it's building faster. And so I don't know how long Sailor Moon has to keep that up. He has no more mass in his bar. But it's still going up faster, what it looks like. Yep. That will finish first, and that will help defend that eastern side for Team 1. They need a win in the land grab. It's essentially 50-50 down the middle. We are having artillery pummeling these forces that are just hanging out. Team 2 needs to be aware of this base. It's being very deadly. A lot of Ravagers being built up. We have bricks, we have pillars, we have shields, we have a missile. All sorts of stuff. I would like to see Sailor grab this T2 just because it's right there and would help us eco out a little bit. But, beggars can't be choosers. You can only focus on so much. You have only so much APM, and of course, usually as time goes on, that APM goes down and down, especially when you get Subcom Bram at about... Usually see it about 40 minutes, but I think I've seen players be able to stave it off to like 50. Definitely once the 50-minute mark hits, it really sets in. And it's very hard to get out of that, tunnel vision kind of mindset where you're focused realistically on one thing, maybe two things, but realistically one thing. Monkey gonna finish here for Team 2. They'll have a Fat Boy, a Colossus, and a Monkey. All you need is a chicken. You have all the experimentals. At least the major land ones, but it doesn't look like a chicken is on its way. I haven't seen any Ilshis, surprisingly. We're just seeing a lot of Harbingers, which is kind of weird. You would think that Team 2's player of Kenny, who has inherited Seraphim Tech, would build at least some sort of T3 land base for Seraphim units, like Othams, but hasn't done that yet, which is kind of interesting. This force is retreating for some reason. Well, I mean, the crab is here, but that's a lot of forces. All the crab has to do is just stand there, of course. The Colossus, if it stands in front of everything else with some assisting shields, can stave off a lot of that damage and just push through with the Harbingers, because those Harbingers will win that fight. I mean, we're talking about 44 Harbingers versus about, I'd say, 25, no, even less than that, 20 bricks. So again, that fight is definitely in Team 2's hands of Kenny. He's not pushing the advantage. Maybe that will cost him later on. We'll just have to see as this game progresses. Kenny's built in another experimental. It is another Colossus, and now he's building a Tsar. Yeah, not a lot of air in this game, surprisingly. Even at 34 minutes, the most is Sailor Moon, essentially, at maybe like 15 ASFs, maybe 13 ASFs, 24 ASFs, never mind. That's not a lot at 35 minutes. Last game I casted, it had more focus on air, but I've seen this kind of like not drawback on air, but it's like they're not focusing it as much, which is weird because that's an easy theater of war to just not control, but at least it has the most visual impact because you're like, I have 30 gunships I can just throw at the enemy. They have no ASFs to take them out. Let's do that. Isn't the case here. But we'll just have to see what everybody's game plan is. This crab just having beautiful work done on this forward operating base against Team 2. There's no artillery. There's no, desire to fight this thing. It was free damage for Team 1. Czar says Team 1's player of Sailor Moon. And it's almost halfway done to, in credit for Team 2. But Kenny, he is pumping that thing out. And unless Team 1 has a lot of AA, it's going to really hurt. They'll probably send against Sailor Moon. That would be my guess. There are ASFs in the area, but the Tsar might be able to do enough damage to at least either kill the comm or take out a lot of the base. And Team 1's starting to regain some map control, but they're not rebuilding a lot of their mechs that are just kind of in their territories. This one finally gets rebuilt after a while. But we have another Monkey Lord here. This time it's for Team 1's player of Salter. We're seeing another air grid being established. Not another air grid, but an air grid being established here for Sailor Moon. And it's just really weird that there's not a huge emphasis on air. Besides the Tsar, there's really not a lot of ASFs being built. We are seeing a couple being built now. But now we're at 36 minutes. It has given Team 1 enough time to, build some defenses, but we have a Colossus and a Monkey. The Monkey actually being in front of the Colossus not being used as the bullet sponge. But lots of Ravagers open up, artillery open up, of course that Fat Boy's nearby. They're targeting the Colossus first. Sailor Moon is severely under threat here. Arrow Charge goes in, takes a chunk of hit points out, and they're targeting the Ravagers built up here. The Colossus dies. The Monkey dies trying to use the the Colossus using the Monkey as a bullet, as a monkey shield, I guess. I was going to say human shield, but that's not the word. The comm is right there. The comm is right there. Please target the comm. He's not targeting the comm. He's targeting everything else but it. They know where the comm is. It's not like the comm has invisibility. They know where it is. And that is going to be a kill here for Team 1. That is a huge missed opportunity here for Team 2. Yeah, they probably don't want to give a lot of eco to Team 1 and have Agony control, or maybe even Salter control 2 bases. But that's such a missed opportunity. Yeah, you've taken out some defenses, but there's still more defenses online. It's just Oh, it's so frustrating. Sailor Moon could have easily died in that conflict. And they could have even brought the Tsar in as well to assist, but there are ASFs guarding Sailor Moon, which would make sense because those are Sailor Moons. It just would make sense. He's the furthest comm to the middle of the map for Team 1. Team 2's comms are just in their main bases, essentially. Some of them under shields, some of them not under shields, which could easily be remedied, but probably focused on other things. Kind of below saying Fatty here to the northwest. Yep, there is a Fatty, and it is coming for Team 1's Fatty of Sailor Moon. Sailor Moon needs to build more shields, more arty, more everything. But I feel like that probing attack was really just to knock on a lot of the defenses so that this other Fat Boy can come in and deal with this position. Sailor Moon has actually left and is retreating to his main base. He has overstayed his welcome, he feels like. Team 2 looks like they're mounting some sort of assault. They're grouping up around the Colossus, the Tsar here in the middle. It's not looking good here for Team 1, at least on this eastern side. They've actually secured a lot of this northwestern side, pumping out a lot of AA, Flak, and SAMs and whatnot. Again, we're not seeing a whole lot of effort for air. We are a little bit now from Team 2, but only one air facility for an air player? That's kind of weird. That's kind of weird. At least Team 1 has some sort of an air grid going on. I feel like Team 1 might just win it with air just due to the fact that Team 2 is not putting enough pressure on them against it in that field of war. They're focused more on the ground. And of course, they have a Tsar, which, again, you can have a Tsar, that's great, but they are kind of squishy. So, something to be aware of if you're building a Tsar. I think a lot of the air, I think all the air units, experimentals, are just squishy in general. I mean, we've seen Awashes just get annihilated by a group of ASFs, so realistically, yeah, you have 40,000 hit points, but not a whole lot in the air scheme of things. You know, ASFs only have like 1,800, and they usually die pretty quickly, so it's just due to the sheer quantities of units in air fights. SMD being built here for Team 2, and surprisingly, no one has gone nuke. Is this like a very like friendly, laid-back game where no one's really building anything too aggressive or too ostentatious? We have a Novax being built here by the little guy, which, I mean, that's first inkling of ending the game at 40 minutes. Everyone's just kind of hanging out. More Colossus all the time, of course. But that's really about it. No chickens, which is kind of surprising. When you have access to Seraphim Tech and you don't build chickens, what's wrong with you? Like, you got to build at least build one chicken. Doesn't take as long to build a chicken as it does doesn't take as much time to build a chicken versus a Colossus. Colossus takes more time, and the building nuke impacts the shields on Sailor Moon's not forward operating base, but their middle base here. Where's that comm? The comm is right here. It is in range. It is, again, the size might of the map might deceive you, but this is the range that a comm on a 10x10 with a building nuke can hit. It's a huge chunk of the map. Essentially, over half the essentially half the map can be targeted by that building nuke. It's a lot of land on a 10x10, and now looks like that Fat Boy feels enough confidence to push through. There's not really any artillery to stave this threat off. The only thing they have is a couple of shields. And now we see some clean cameras being built. I mean, quite quickly, I might add, but probably a little too late on that aspect. And this Fat Boy here for Team 2 isn't pushing as hard as he probably should be. He needs to go after the counter Fat Boy. Once that is gone, maybe he doesn't have a lot to worry about. Bring in the Tsar, bring in units, bring in something that either, you know, take out the air units or at least distract them at the least. And essentially, Team 2, this is an instance where Team 2 isn't being aggressive enough. They have two Colossus on this northwestern side, and they're just hanging out. Like, neither team has really used anything, and I don't blame Red Team for not doing anything, because they have two Colossi and a bunch of Harbingers. Like, they're not going to win that fight. Kenny has a huge numbers advantage and tech advantage, and he's not using it. He's trying to sit at range with all of these sniper bots. And I get it, you don't want to lose any units, but at some point you have to lose units. It's just the name of the game. There is no way somebody can play a perfect game, meaning they lose no structures and no units. I bet it probably has happened, but it's very rare that you see it in general, and then it's very rare you see it in mid to high level ladder matches. Those snipers are easily taken out by that crab, and now is Team 2 building anything else to counter the crab? No, they're not. Just another Colossus. There is that Novex that has completed, so the laser will start traversing the map. Team 1 has to be aware of that and has to have a solution for that, but they might with this nuke that's already half loaded. Team 2 has built an SMD. It is almost loaded. Does it cover the Novax? That's the main question. If it doesn't cover the Novax, it does, so it doesn't really matter. But it might, the nuke might be able to edge it out. He puts it right here, even where he puts that transport. He puts the nuke right on top of the transport. He might clip the Novax, which would be a great grab here for Team 1 if they manage to pull that off. Blue Nuke's going after those bricks here. And honestly, that's going to really hurt. There's a lot of damage that can be done with a Billy Nuke. You can see zooming in just a little bit. Kaboom! Takes out a horde of bricks. I think over half of them are gone. The crab moves northward. He notices those Colossi are moving, and now they're going after this Fat Boy. Colossus will take damage, of course, just due to the artillery from the Fat Boy, but it's not as much as you think it is. Fat Boys are pretty weak when it comes to damage. They're designed to take out buildings. Much anything else, not really. So, yeah, it's not really worth it. Just wait and wait and wait. If you have like 4 or 5 Fat Boys, good luck. That's going to take a while to chew through. Because it's just 5 Fat Boys, and they can always build units on their backs and all of that. The left Colossus is down in the yellow. The right one is still in the green. And now here comes those Colossus over that hilltop or plateau top, and they're coming after that Fat Boy. They know what's in store for them. Percy's trying to do their best to stave off that incoming threat, but it's not really going to work here for Team 1. Colossus scooping up those those Titans and those Percys, but the crab has come to assist. One of the Colossi is already down. The second one going to fall here pretty quickly. And wow, I was really surprised. There's just a lot of defenses on the ground in terms of PD to really stave off this threat. Oh, I think Team 2 waited a little bit too long. And they have all of these harbingers they didn't send in. That is a huge missed opportunity. That's probably one of the reasons why those Colossus failed so badly. But another Billy Nuke lands, taking out maybe some more units. Don't remember what was there until that Billy Nuke came off. And now Fat Boy versus Fat Boy. Team 1 has the early target, which means they have the advantage. These Percys need to get in range of this Colossus, this Fat Boy, and deal with it. Harbingers do too. There's 2 Fat Boys and a crab. A lot of Ravagers here too. And since the Harbingers are appearing a couple at a time, it's not going to be very effective, and Team 1's going to win that fight hand over fist. And now those Percys are coming in closer and closer. But maybe this Fat Boy will be able to get away. There's artillery coming in from a nearby Fat Boy to the northwest. Of course, you have a couple of bricks just kind of coasting along the edge here in the middle. Team 2 owns a lot of the map. That's just a fact. That's just what's happening. There's no way to dispute that. However, Team 1 is making a lot of inroads in defenses as well as inroads in eco, where now they're above Team 2, which they were trailing for a while. Not by much, but again, a little bit's a little bit. Any advantage is any advantage, regardless of how small it is. And Fat Boy's still trying to do something. Those Percys, stop moving. You can't stop moving. You have to keep firing. You cannot stop firing. You cannot stop moving. No rest for the wicked here. More bricks coming in to assist. This is a combined push in the middle here by Team 2's players of Little Guy and Farine. Farine? I think it's Farine. I don't know. It's still saying his name wrong, I feel like. That crab is going to, take a little bit to chew through. It has 143,000 hit points due to the 3 veterancies. These Percys have their work cut out for them. We even have some Baratza brought forth to deal with them as well. This is a huge win by Team 1, taking out a lot of Team 2's land that they had just built up over time. That anti-nuke is loaded with a second one now here for Team 2. Team 1's player of Sailor Moon has his first loaded. Will he launch it immediately? I hope not. Needs to take stock of the situation. And now that Fat Boy came in too close to some Ravager fire, and it's taken out. Ooh, that's gotta hurt. So 2 Colossi, a Fat Boy. I mean, that's really about it. The Zara is still back here. I don't see any attempts for Artie. I don't see any attempts for essentially much of anything else. It's just more and more power generators, more shields. There's 1 Novax, the second one now into construction. Again, not the best idea to stack them literally right next to one another. There's no adjacency bonuses or anything, but I mean, it is tightly packed. You're able to shield it a lot better. And now the laser going after. Let's see, I'm waiting for the laser to finish loading. Let's see, what are you going after? Don't tell me you're going after the monkey. That's not. Okay, good. You're going after the Mechs. That's a better idea. You gotta slow Team 1's roll somehow, and taking out Mass is definitely a surefire way to do it. You can see these Harbingers just being belittled by this Fat Boy. They cannot, just constantly being bombarded, and they're just sitting in the open not being used. It's kind of a waste of a unit, essentially, if it just doesn't do anything. If you build an experimental when it sits in your base and does nothing, it doesn't really do anything. What was the point in building it? I know some people build them for, like tele-defense and stuff like that, especially the monkey. But, I don't know. Relying solely on that's not a good idea. We're having some broadswords just kind of exert some power over here to the northwest. ASF try to intercept, but think better of it. It does embolden Team 1 to send at least some of their ASF forward. The nuke, the Billy Nuke is launched, probably trying to intercept those ASF. Doesn't really go very well. And now, I don't know, there's a slow-moving missile traversing the map here. There it comes. Going to land here very shortly. Here it goes. Takes out a decent chunk of mass, but that's about it. At this point, mass isn't super. I mean, reclaim isn't super relative. It always is, don't get me wrong. But it's not really. Team 1 launches their first nuke, and it's going to impact that SMD's anti-nuke. They put it right here, and they didn't notice about the SMD. Team D against Billy Nuke, says Salter. Yep, you can kill a Billy Nuke with TMD. It takes longer, but you can kill it. See, constantly being bombarded over there to the east. Here comes the nuke. It's coming in to turn, and there it goes. So we needed to overlay one of their own SMD to get a range of where they should target. They just didn't do that. And that is a trick you can do. You can just pull out, your SMD. I have to select the unit, but let's see if I can find a T3. And I'll just junk at the comm. Okay, anyway, comm doesn't have T3. Anyway, you can just hover over with I have an SMD. It's right next to it. Oh, okay, it'll target roughly this. And you just be like, okay, this is the furthest I can go in. That is out of the range. And then you fire, and then you might kill stuff. But you got to just do a little bit of work to do it. So it does take a little bit, not practice, but it's just oh yeah, that's the SMD. Got to hover it. Yeah, okay, good. And then somebody maybe marks it, or you mark it, or just remember something. But the laser, a second one has been completed. And now Team 2 thinking about standoff tactics more and more. Shields being built. Good move on Team 2's part for the little guy. He needs more shields to protect his vital structures. Should be focusing on one thing or the other. Maybe bring this other laser to take out some more mechs that aren't even shielded. We have a Duke under construction now for Team 1's Player of Agony, and it's pinged. Billy Nuke's trying to land against more ground targets, but it's not really working out. Maybe we're trying to assassinate those gunships. Team 1 doesn't have a whole lot of AA. They have some, but not a terrible amount of it like you would see usually at 50 minutes. We're 50 minutes in. No one has died in 30 minutes. And now it's just building up a base. I feel like in this instance, I'm going to speed it up just a little bit. I feel like it's going a little too slow for me. And you might have a difference of opinion or not, but I feel like it's kind of just not dead, but just kind of quiet. And when it's quiet for this long, it's kind of okay, something's happening. The second nuke does launch. Where is it going? Okay, now it's going to edge nuke, at least what it looks like. We'll see if it does indeed land. That Billy Nuke does land. I'll slow it down to see the nuke artillery actually raining in from Team 2. And that nuke does impact the ground. Ooh, kaboom! Takes out 2 Novaxes. Couple of shields, couple of P-gens. That has got to hurt. Team 2 needed one like right in the middle or anywhere nearby, and that just didn't work out. Definitely a disappointment here for the little guy. We did see artillery here just for an emissary. Needs to be ringed with P-gens, but they're building a second one as we speak, so could be remedied. Essentially, everything is now shielded up for the main base for Team 1, and they're building just a line of shields, essentially, closer and closer to their opponent. Got a RASCOM facility gating in here for them as well, trying to produce as much mass as they can. And in terms of that, Team 1's about to eclipse Team 2 in the total mass accrued game, and they're winning the mass per second by essentially 300 mass a second. That is a lot of mass to be up, especially when that team has been down for a good portion of this match. Another Billy Nuke lands, takes out more and more mass. Where is that comm? I keep losing it. Here it is. 79, almost 80,000 mass here for Team 2. Player of the little guy. So I feel like he's done a great job just annoying his opponent, essentially. And here comes another one, impacting. Takes out some more hit points on that monkey lord. Just whittled them down slowly and annoys them. They have to, divert resources to deal with that. But Team 2, they need air. They need air. I mean, they need it very badly. They need a field of war that they can essentially control themselves. And with no air grids, it's really looking dire here for Team 2 in that air game. We're at 53 minutes, mind you. We're sped up just a tiny bit, so not a terrible amount. But again, speed up is a speed up. We're seeing Dukes being built here by Team 1's player of Sailor Moon. And now artillery impacting this position. The secondary pulse takes out that P-Gen, and we have some assistance to take out the Stone Anger. And it's killed 86,000 mass with that one nuke. Artillery raining in all the time. That air grid does not look super shielded. And the shield is still holding just barely, though. Team 2 needs a victory now. They need something to bring them back. They have a force to the east that they have to deal with. Billy Nuke coming in to deal with that as well. Units say scatter. Takes out a couple of units. Not really worth the missile launch, but would have probably targeted it here just because there's not a close-up, but there's a small amount of space to maneuver versus the openings of each side of that little valley area. But now we're seeing more and more shields built here by Team 1's air player of Sailor Moon. And it doesn't look like that nut's going to be very easy to crack now. Team 2 has almost finished a second emissary. That will definitely assist in that game. But a Duke, well, it was going to be completed and stopped. I mean, I know it's building here, but it's not really that far along. A lot of AA trying to stave off any incoming intel gathering schemes, but they do get some wiggle room, not a lot. You can see that artillery just constantly impacting the shields. The nuke is already rejuvenated back to life at full HP. I heard another, yep, there it is, another Billy Nuke. How much mass has he killed so far? 94,000, gonna pop into the 6-digit game here pretty soon. And is trying to anticipate his enemy's movements. But again, the best thing you can essentially do is just target, again, where they're going to be, or if they've sat there for a while, where they are. No use really using it in a moving fight. But it does take out some hit points from that Fat Boy. A couple of, I think, Percy's might have been harmed in that. I feel like Fat Boys are slow enough to where you can target it, but it's still hard. It does look like Team 2 is sorely focused on taking out that Stone Anger, but maybe not. There is a Disruptor online here for Team 1 now. But it's artillery wars here for the time being. Team 2 hasn't really done anything to remedy that. They have a decent sized hole in their Novaxes and Eco. The Zard finally gets destroyed by Team 1, and here come the broadswords to take out that emissary, saying we need shields and we need to take this thing out now. It's gonna hurt. Suicide mission on the cards here. They will take out one of the emissaries. They'll start taking out the shields, and they're gonna target the second one. Don't think they have any hit points to really deal with that, but they do take out one, and one is better than none. The Disruptor comes in, takes out the shielding around that emissary, takes out the engineers as well, and that one is a lone target. The shield does pop back online just in time, but again, it's just going to be one of those things where it's not going to last very long. We have Rascom starting to spew out into all the other facets of Team 1's bases. Billy Nuke's not stopping for little guy at 109,000 mass. Still not at the 500,000 mass that one Awasha killed, but I feel like reaching 100,000 with your comm is very impressive. No, it just is. Artillery missed. Again, that emissary is almost destroyed. Needs one more hit and it's gone. Shell missing the map. I'm going to fall to the void there. But with 3 Colossi pushing in from the northwest corner. And there's at least 2 Fat Boys firing on them. Actually, there's 2. That one looks like 1. 2 Fat Boys firing on them constantly. There's no experimentals to fight this. There's not a lot of PD either. This is essentially going to be open season. The units from Team 2 need to come and assist now. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. The first Colossus will probably die before he gets there, but it really won't matter. But there is a crab and a monkey here to the east, so we'll be able to help a little bit. But those secondary units, this needs to get there now. And we have another Fat Boy. This is 3 Fat Boys, a crab, and a monkey versus 2 Colossus. Actually, excuse me, 1 Colossus. Team 2 severely outnumbered now. They take out the monkey, but that is it. Grabs that transport and goes, nope, that one is mine now. The forces from the south come in. The forces from the west try to target this Fat Boy. They'll probably get this one. Maybe they'll get the other one as well. But again, all those Colossus are now down. Those units in from Team 2 needed to push with their assisting forces sooner rather than later. The emissary is still online. When we go back to the main fight here, I feel like this is going to be the end-all be-all. Billy Nuke's coming in to take out more and more defenses. That's not a good position for that, honestly. We have some broadswords just thinning out the herd. We have another Fat Boy here for Team 1 as well. This time it's actually owned by Sailor Moon. There goes that explosion. I was trying to intercept the Fat Boy, I would assume, just was a little bit too soon about it. And now these bricks just being slaughtered at this point. There's a crab, essentially, I think, in range of that Fat Boy. It just doesn't want to target it. Oh, there it is. I was going to look at it, but it's definitely in range. There goes the Fat Boy. It is gone. See ya. End of story. Didn't have long to live on this life. Another Billy Nuke constantly landing. What's the eco at now? 121,000. Almost getting to 125,000. A eighth of a million, or a half of 250. Or a quarter of 500. Artillery raining in all the time. Looks like there's 2 of them built now. Yep, 2 of them right here. Where's that Duke at? Still in the red. Not really the target focus, but the artillery impacts. The missile impacts once again. Team 1 held the line once again, and I think that was Team 2's issue. They didn't build enough air. Those gunships did a massive amount of damage. Just bombarded them heavily. We saw that push from those broadswords earlier, taking out 1 emissary by themselves with some additional ASFs for coverage. We have some SAM sites built here, but we have a nuke. It's going to impact this location. The comm of the little guy gets taken out by broadswords in the middle of the map, but is now a 3v2 in favor of Team 1. Here comes that nuke to take out some AA. Not really the best use of it, but it is out of range of this SMD, so could have targeted this. I feel like would have been a lot better. But that defensive position is gone. Broadsword's going to sweep everything to the west. ASF's called in to try to deal with them. The ones from Sailor Moon need to deal with that. The teleporter is starting for Fjern. He's going to do a desperation play with the Cybern Commander. Already has the laser, just needs the shield. Sorry, needs the teleporter, not the shield. But a counter nuke from Team 2 here from Kenny. What is this one going for? Needs to be something good. It's going for this base to the east. Sailor Moon is not there, but there are 3 Fat Boys. Is going to evac as quickly as they can. And that's just going to push the front line. There's no reinforcements coming them from now, but again, The base that has vexed Team 2 for a long time is finally dealt with. But the Broadsword is just doing a huge amount of cleanup here, taking out important structures, whether that be extractors, whether that be intel installations, whatever you may say. And now the artillery raining in just constantly on that base. What are they? Oh, they're targeting Kenny? Yep, Kenny looks like he got hit by one of them. Oh, they're targeting, looks like the T3 air headquarters for Kenny. And the teleporter is 60% of the way completed. Remember, he has to build it and then teleport away. Kenny taking one to the face. He needs to keep moving. Vern taking one to at least the shoulder. And he's under shield coverage now, but needs to build more and more, of course, all the time. Disruptive fire going everywhere. Looks like, I don't think they're targeting necessarily the comms themselves, just vital structures, it looks like. So it was just a happy accident. Something in German, it looks like, by Team 2. Do you have any idea of what you're doing? I think that's what that says. I think that's German. It kind of looks German. No, definitely not Russian and definitely not English or Spanish. I know what those look like. Yeah, I think that's definitely German. At least a dialect or something very similar. But I hear strap bombers going off. Where are they going off? I can hear them. I just can't see them. Where are they? I don't know where they are. Huh. Oh, there's strap bombers here for Team 2. I was looking for yellow or red and I just couldn't find them. Team 2 employing some strap bombers for defense. I'll slow it back down. They're trying to just stave off this enemy force, but I feel like the game has already been won. Vern has the teleporter, and I'm going to click on him to see where he's going. I don't know if you can see where he pings. I see the little ball where he's teleporting to. But he's close. He's, 85, 75% of the way there. If he can teleport up, that'd be great, but there are defenses in Team 1's main bases. He's got to pick his targets very closely. He'll have only one shot at this. He doesn't have a lot of energy left. That Monkey Lord getting very close to that commander. Is he going to have enough energy to teleport away? It doesn't look like he's really moving that quickly. That Monkey Lord, it's going to hurt. Team 2 needs to sort out their energy situation to give him some, teleporting sense. Kenny running away from that monkey. Got away from it, but now Kenny's going to die to that monkey, and now it's a 3v1. All Team Red has to do is find him, and he teleports away. But he's not close. He's too close. There's some Rascom shooting at him, and that's not going to go well for him. Oh, no. Oh, that's got to hurt. He was too close to a structure, could not kill anything. And that has got to hurt. I feel like he should have teleported probably right here. Okay, he can stop shaking now. Stop. There we go. Probably should have teleported right here. Probably would have got a nice angle on it. But the fact that he was sitting right next to it, it was just too close. And even if he did take stuff out, the volatile explosions would have decimated his hit points. So again, it was a good attempt by Team 2. They had it for a while. They killed a player earlier on. Team 1 came back, killed one of their players, and just kind of, went back and forth. Here are the strap bombers here for Team 2. Looks like they were coming in to target Kenny. At least that's kind of the angle that they're going for. At least maybe possible angle, but that is going to be a win for Team 1. Not a flawless victory. They lost Hannibal Low early on, but a victory is still a victory. And again, thank you so much for watching. Please like and comment down below if you enjoyed the video, what part of it you liked the most, what part of it you didn't like, anything that needs to be corrected in terms of gameplay. Let me know. I always want to have the most accurate information possible. So again, please let me know what I got wrong. And again, thank you so much for watching. I greatly appreciate it. And of course, if you haven't hit that sub button, please, I encourage you to do so. And I will see all of you in the next one.